it depends on you and you knowing yourself and you bringing yourself to know that I still have value.
Yes.
Like there is something that I still have that person might need. Even if it's the case of like you have this person who is super into business, super into money, they know how to make money, but you're more religious than they are, or you're more God-fearing than they are. And maybe there's something that they need to hear from you that God is going to use you to speak to them, and they're going to hold and treasure that thing. But you have to be secure in yourself first of all. There's nothing that I can really tell you like, like do this, do that. Be secure in yourself, and you go into those rooms and you know that you still have value to bring, because I've still worked on myself. Don't try and like, just don't try and compete where you don't compare.
Yo, people, welcome back to the Bread and Butter podcast. You're here with myself, Tayo.
And myself, E-Man.
And today we've got a special guest. The people are going to be happy about this one, you know.
No, they're going to... So special, we came to her.
Oh, so special we came to her. We traveled. We traveled.
Come on.
We traveled. Because the people are watching this and they're thinking, I've never seen this before. For the YouTube lot, audio is the same for you, but for the YouTube lot, they're thinking, we ain't never seen this before. Well, we had to travel to come and see Lamide Elizabeth in the building.
The one and only.
Hi,
Come
guys.
on.
You said it's been a minute since you've done a podcast, right? How long's it been?
Yeah, my last one I think was January 2024.
Chai, would you look at that? God is good.
Yeah, you guys brought me back out. I just wasn't, you know, you're just not in a speaking season. Have you ever had one of those? Maybe not.
Eman's never had that in his life.
In my life. In my
Eman
life.
has never had that in his entire life. He doesn't even understand what you're talking about right
I
now.
wish I could have an...
But I get you. Don't
Yeah?
worry, I get you.
Okay.
Sometimes you just want to get me.
But I'm learning. Maybe I need to have some of these seasons.
Exactly that. But thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy. We just did an episode. I just did an episode with Tayo, soon to come on with Emmanuel, and it was really good.
You
So
enjoyed it,
yeah,
yeah?
I'm pumped up. Yeah.
Good stuff.
I
Good
said,
stuff.
you enjoyed it, yeah? What do you mean? Are you think you're that bad? You know, like a footballer, like, the man scored. Right? Did you see man's pass? Did you see it? That's how man's talking, like, you enjoyed it, yeah?
Do you know what's so funny?
You think you're so bad.
No, it's so funny because a man will score a hat trick in football, yeah? And then ask his boy, say, well, I was being imagined.
That's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you did.
Okay, cool. Before I forget, Lamide, whenever people come on, I think you're going to struggle with this one, but whenever people come on, we ask them a question. There's a reason why I said you'll struggle, because we spoke about it offline. But we always ask them a question, what is your bread and butter? So can you tell our audience what your bread and butter is?
Okay. My bread and butter is helping people build wealth with no borders.
Come on.
What does that mean? Break that down for the people that, I mean, most of our audience would have known what you're on, but for the people that might not, maybe we've got one viewer that's never heard of Lamide Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'm sure there
What
are
does
many
that
more. But so I guess at the moment, so for those who don't know me, my very short career journey that I had was about 4 years, was in banking and investment banking in London as well as in Dubai. And I left that literally a year ago. And now one of my biggest passions is helping people build wealth with no borders. And the idea behind that is basically helping people to think about wealth building, whether it's even just moving countries for your career, whether it's even staying put and letting your money move and do the work for you, but just thinking outside of your immediate borders and using that to build wealth. So that's through my podcast, which is called Building Wealth with No Borders. I recently launched that in October. I'm also an international real estate consultant, so I help other people outside of the UK get invested in the UK, but then also people from the UK and all over the world get invested in the Dubai market as well. And then I also am a co-founder of the Profession Now Network, which is a women-focused network that we have out in Dubai. And that kind of supports people in relocating to Dubai, setting up their businesses in Dubai, but then also when the women are out there in Dubai, it's a community, so that because a lot of people move to Dubai on their own,
Yes.
right? They move on their own or they move with their partner, and they really struggle when it comes to, because everyone thinks of Dubai as this place where you go out and you have fun all the time. When people get there for work and they realize how lonely it can be, a lot of women actually struggle out there. So the community is there to kind of solve that problem.
Community is super important in general, and I think that I am kind of aware of a lot of the things that you mentioned and you're doing, and I think it's super, super important for people to take part and be aware of, and so on and so forth. I wanted to ask you a question. Do you think that it's important to have no borders in order to build wealth?
Do I think that it's important to have no borders in order to build
If
wealth?
you're based in the UK, so do you feel like you have to look outside of the UK? in order to build wealth?
No, I don't think you need to look outside of the UK in order to build wealth. However, when you think about our parents, right, the fact that we are all sitting here
Facts.
right now, it's because our parents had the mindset of building wealth with no borders. They were in Nigeria and they saw that, you know what, if I want to give my children the best leg up, let me go. And at the time when they even came, I'm just assuming that you guys' parents came at the time that my parents came. The UK and Nigeria, they weren't even the currency was not even as bad as it is right now. And they still said, I'm going to move over to the UK because I know if I have my kids there and they have a British passport, or they even just have a British accent, their life opportunities is going to be significantly different. Some of them, like some of the parents, as soon as they got to the UK and they had kids, like that's their wealth building done. They're not even trying to pass on properties or do all the invested stocks. They're like, I've had you in the UK. I've given you the biggest wealth building block that you can get, right? And so in that time, that move to the UK for them was huge. We are in a position now where now that we've got all of the benefits that they have given us from being to the UK, in my opinion, some of us need to leave to be able to, that big of a jump that they got from moving from the Nigeria to the UK, some of us need to be able to build wealth with no borders to get as big of a jump as they had, because a lot of the benefits, we've already maximized it in the UK. And so if you want to continue to have, you know, bigger jumps in terms of wealth building, then you do have to start looking outside of your borders. Not for everyone. And like I always say, you don't have to move in order for your money to move. You can be in the UK and have a business in wherever it needs to be. You can be in the UK and set up another property portfolio elsewhere, right? You can do that, but I do think that there are massive benefits to start seeing the world as globally as it is. We have AI, we have technology, we have social media. Why should you limit yourself to just the borders that you see? And that even goes as little as like when it comes to property investing, like you don't have to buy in London. Like as we were discussing, you don't have to buy in London. Even just being able to say, okay, if I'm going to start a property portfolio, I can go to Birmingham, I can go to Liverpool, I can go to Manchester. That's building wealth with no borders, because you're not allowing yourself to be constrained by what you can see. And why that was important for me, because I was someone where I didn't even leave for uni. I was London through and through. I studied at the London School of Economics. And for me...
She just said it like everybody. Even those that are there, can they study? Even those that live right next door, can they go there?
Now you're winning.
She actually mocks bare people. And London for a few. Listen, you gotta have brain. You gotta have brain.
Wait, when she said London, I was going to say London. I don't know, bro. When she said London, even in the acronym LSE. Come on.
The point is that I was so London focused that even living, I was like, living in Essex for me was like, that's too much. Like London was my whole life. So that's why now I'm really passionate about like, no, think outside of what you can immediately see.
I love that. To be honest, what I was gonna say I like to, you know me, I always like to give tips to people. So I always give the tip I always give to the man them. So when I meet man them, they're like, I watch your stuff. I'm on this money thing, but my missus ain't on it. I always say, follow Bolaso, I follow Lamide Elizabeth. I think you and Bola for women, because there's sometimes I feel like they can follow us, but I don't think it's not gonna resonate as much as when they hear it from you and Bola. I think you two, I know there's bare people that do it. I don't want people to be upset with me. You didn't mention me. But I think you two, for me, I feel like your mindset for women, if they hear it, like, I think one of the things that I find that a lot of women, they collect information. I think when they hear you, they hear Bola, it's action. You guys are actioning it, you're doing it, and I think it's so important, and it's such a cheat code when two people can do it together. So if there's that imbalance, definitely I say, you know, make sure our viewers, make sure they follow you, because, you know, you're sick, number one. Number two, do you think you're sick because you're Nigerian? Is it the Nigerians? Because look, when I think about it, we're here. Bruv, how much people do we let's stay on the pod, how much people do we have? And it's mainly Nigerians.
I've got to say, and I don't know if I'm comfortable saying, but I am comfortable saying, I feel like Nigerians as people are peak. Like, there's something in it. I think it's in our upbringing. I don't know what it is. And there's not, like, there's so many similarities between Nigerians as well. So, like, that work ethic, that like what me and Lamide spoke about, the fact that I could have done better in university. Like even that in itself, like Nigerians are so comfortable being self-critical because they're so sure about who they are. Like I could have done better. It was my fault that I went through clearing in university. You know what I'm trying to say? I was actually more brilliant than what I achieved, and I know that.
That's exactly what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
But it was actually my fault, and I'm very comfortable in knowing that. But anyways, I say that to say, I think one thing that's key is that there's a lot of similarities between Nigerian children as well. You assumed and you did it with about 99% confidence that our parents weren't born here. Does that make sense? Because we all kind of had the same kind of like, our parents came over and so on and so forth. So yeah, but feel free to answer Iman's question.
I love that question because especially as someone who I've also lived in another African country, right? So I spent time in South Africa. There is no other African that I have met that are as quick as Nigerians. I have a South African friend, love her, love South Africans, obviously bought a property there. But like she is just slow with and so the one Yoruba word that she knows is Oya, because I always say that to her, like, come on, move. Like, why are you so slow? But like, I honestly feel like there is something different about Nigerians. I don't know what it is, but we are just different. There's just this and that's also the thing that makes people not like us as well. But like it is what it is. If that's the cost of the success, I love it. And I always say that like one of the things I love about being Nigerian is you're never short of role models. Like there's always a Nigerian there. There's always a Nigerian. There's always, even in the banks, even if they say, oh, there's not that many black senior people, if you were to see that one senior black person, the chances that they are Nigerian, and it's not just here, it's in the US as well. My friend is at Harvard Business School. She said the majority of black people there are Nigerian. The way in Harvard Business School. So I feel like there is definitely something about being Nigerian. I don't know what it is, but like,
Two things. I probably someone told me a stat once, and they said that 1 in like 11 black people is apparently Nigerian. I don't know how true that is. Someone should check it out.
I've heard that.
I've heard something like that. And the other thing is as well, like definitely in that there's a lot of other African nationalities that have things great about them as well. But I think that with the work thing, like just getting to it and the fast stuff, like some people ask if like Nigeria is dangerous. I say it's not dangerous, just fast, and it can be overwhelming. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So once you land, we're on. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You're gonna rest when you get indoors, but until then, things are gonna be.
But you're so right, like, because even when I was in Niger, like at first I had my security, bruv. You see the way everyone's hustling, no one cares unless you're out here like I've got this money in my pocket, or you got watcher and you're just walking around asking for trouble. Most of the time, everybody is just trying to find a way to make money and hustling. And it's just,
I actually just got back. Sorry, I just got back from Nigeria, but that's also the thing that scares me about Lagos, though. Because have you guys been to Abuja?
No,
I haven't. I need to go.
I need to go. It's a different vibe. Like it's not the Nigeria that we know. Abuja is like completely. It's beautiful, but that's something that scares me about Lagos, man. It's just like you think that London is like, hey, Lagos. It's like raw.
Yeah, it's like raw. You mentioned something which is super, super important, and I think that this is the case for many people whose parents moved here, of all nationalities, right? I think all African nationalities, particularly though, you'll find that when our parents moved here, a lot of the things that the UK offered benefited them at that point. But I think that especially in our culture, it's kind of like what happened is that a lot of people's parents, like, coming here and just being here is a huge achievement, and they've set the foundation. A lot of parents overachieved, so they might have got decent paying jobs by the time they got older, or maybe they were contracting and made good money, or maybe they owned a home. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So they set up a really good kind of like starting point, and then the children, as in our peers, are doing increasingly well as well. And what happens is that, just generally speaking, for anybody, no matter who you are in the UK, I believe that once you start earning a certain amount, it's kind of like diminishing value. More work, less money, less freedom, less time, less joy. So unless you kind of like find ways to counteract that, and one of the big ways you can counteract that is running a business instead of, like I mentioned before, getting paid 7k more and managing like 25 more people. Don't make no sense. You know what I'm trying to say? So sometimes you got to think about running a business. Anyways, I say that to say that, I completely agree with that point.
And I think on that as well, I just want, like, there is there's a bit of a negative connotation around being in the UK and everything. But I think we also have to realize we have so much privilege. And I think this is something that I only realized after leaving the UK. And then I look back on it and I'm like, damn, I have the ability to earn in one of the strongest currencies in the world. I can build a portfolio easily and be earning in pounds and living off rand. You only need one property in the UK to be able to then live in South Africa or Bali or whatever and live a good life and all your expenses are paid for. You have a British accent. And people, last time I made a video about this, people were like, oh, so what did they say? This is along the lines of racism or whatever. But a British accent Even if you go back to Nigeria, people are going to treat you differently. People are going to
telling you.
treat you better because you have a British accent. You can even be broker than them, but because you have a British accent, people are going to treat you differently. You have a British passport. Okay, we've left the EU now, we've Brexited, whatever. It's not as strong as it was, but the amount of places that you can go to visa-free and just turn up at the door, it's only until you are now surrounded with people who just to go to the neighboring country, they have to get a visa, you start to realize, oh my God, I am so privileged. Like I remember, again, with my South African friends, or when I was working in Dubai, so I moved to Dubai in 2023. A lot of my colleagues were Indian, a lot of them were South Africans, and I was like, oh, let's just go to this place, like whatever, let's just go. And she was like, okay. First of all, I need to book a visa appointment. I was like, what visa appointment for what? Then I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, whenever. She was like, oh, actually, the first thing that happened was she got tickets to go see Beyonce and she didn't end up going. And I was like, oh, why? She said they reviewed her visa, they rejected her. She sent them 3 months bank statements, this. I said, are you applying for a mortgage?
Yeah.
What is all of this that you have to go through?
Yeah.
And we don't have to go through that. Even when you see people who are able to say, oh, I've been to 30 countries by 30, people can't do that.
Yeah, they can't.
Some people can't do
You're
that.
spitting right now.
So we have so many benefits of being British, but because you're surrounded by so many British people who have the same benefits, you don't see it. But then when you leave and you're surrounded by other people and you start looking into the UK, you're like, rah, we have so many benefits. It's just that you have to do the right things to unlock those benefits.
Hey, you're cooking right now still.
No, she's gone ham. I feel like the whole borders thing, I think for me, like, it's proper hit home that like actually, because obviously my dad recently passed, and it's like when it happened, he always said, I'm gonna do this when I retire. I'll do this when I retire. Then he retired and died 12 months later. And it's like the whole thing made me realize that actually that, like, and I keep saying this, the things that your body can do in 20, 30, 40s, it can't do the same at 50, 60, 70. Like naturally even just getting up is a process. Even just moving about, carrying stuff. Like, so you want to try and live whilst working. Like you want to try and do both. And so if you can go to another country that allows you to do that, and I think that's the problem with the UK and London, and especially London, is that there's so much to do and there's so much cost that it's like you work and then you come home and you work. Like me, when I come home now, we've got the 4 kids. I got to do that. We got to make sure they've done their homework. We got to make sure we got their food. We got to make sure things are tidied and cleaned. Like there's so much to do just in the house, let alone with your own work. And then you got to go back to work. So it's like you're working 2 jobs. So it's one of them things where if you can then go somewhere else where, like you said, South Africa. When I was in South Africa, it's the first time I felt rich. See, Nigeria's expensive. So you go to Nigeria, the currency's crazy, but Nigeria's expensive. 100. South Africa is not. Like, it was the first time I was like, we go out and we can order any. I tell you, we ate the best meat, the best food. When the bill came,
you'll be like, what?
You're paying them extra. You feel bad. You're like, bro, I just ate everything for £30.
Yeah.
Let me give you, because everything, it's like, imagine being in the UK, but it's times 17. Everything is 17 times, your money's 17 times more, but you've got the service, Uber. I was
£2.
Like Uber everywhere. When I tell you, when I got there, like I had my guy that's out there who's taking me around. After Uber was working, I just left it. I was just traveling on my own, safe, going wherever. And like you said, once people hear your accent, they want to talk to you. Like the privileges you get, security. Even if we come back late at night, we got stopped by the police. Second, we heard our voices. Oh, you're British. You can go. Because even when we were in Joburg, you're not meant to be out late at night. If you're late at night, they're pulling you. What are you doing? Because the section that we stayed in was mainly for tourists. Like it's mainly like tourist cameras everywhere. But it's like there is that privilege, like you say, of being British and having all these things, and actually we're just not utilizing it. So for me, it's like how do I live the life I live and have the lifestyle I want, but at a lower cost? For me, that has to be eventually living somewhere outside of the UK.
I'm glad we're touching on this as well, because I fully agree. Like the other thing that being in Britain allows you to do is that it allows someone who is able and willing to study to pick up a skill and then earn off that skill as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Then it also allows you can be being in Britain is hard, but it allows it. There still is like a roadmap where you could be who you want to be. If you want to get in property, you can do it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's not like certain countries where there's like 1 million people going for the same like 10, 12 jobs or career paths and so on and so forth.
Like
basically.
in India.
Exactly that. So I think that it's important to understand the benefits that there is. And a lot of the things that I've built today is because I'm in the UK, but I still do agree that it gets to a point that sometimes it's kind of like you do have to kind of like remove the borders and look elsewhere. The accent thing is so funny as well though, because I had a similar experience and my friends tell me in America as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like in America, when you get stopped by the police, if you've got a British accent, all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's like, you got it.
Yeah, they love us out there, and especially like, and that's the thing about culture, right? Like even like things like Bridget and doing well and those types of things. All of a sudden now they're into us, Prince Harry and Meghan, and all of a sudden they now like our culture, and obviously now they're liking our artists and the music, and I think that's what's helped Nigeria as well with the music crossover.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So all of those things really help. So what made you say take the leap? Because I think especially being a woman, there can be that fear of if I'm moving, because I'm sure there's loads of women that maybe feel like, oh, I want to live somewhere else, but there's that fear of, like you say, going on your own and having it. And what gave you the confidence to say, okay, I'm going to do this?
Okay, but I just quickly want to touch on the education point,
Sure.
because I think this is another one of the really strong points of the UK. And I think that in the UK is probably when it comes to social mobility, moving from working class to lower middle class, the UK is probably the best place to get you there, even more so than America, because in America, even to go to like the top university, let's compare the Ivy Leagues to like your top 5 universities in the UK, the fact that they even charge you more to go, because in the UK, if you go to the worst uni, if you go to the best uni, there's one fee. There's one fee, and the government can loan you that. In America, if you want to get to the top university, the way you have to be begging for scholarships left, right, and center, and they're gonna charge you 10 times more. And the government, and then even when you finish and you graduate from the university, the way that the loan sits on your head, like student loans for America, is such a big thing that it can even disincentivize you. In the UK, we have good education that's free, good, but like it's good enough to get you up into a good point. Getting into like I didn't come from a wealthy background. Like getting into the lower middle class phase is very easy. Just like when you get there, then they're gonna screw you with your life with taxes, and they don't want you to then progress a little like further than that. But to move from working class to lower middle class, in my opinion, in the UK, especially through the education as well, is very strong. But okay, going back to what made me move, do you know what? I was kind of, I think, so my first move was, okay, actually, the first thing that opened up my eyes to moving was going to South Africa. This was in 2022. And I think I was telling Tayo on the podcast that we just did, when I was growing up, I watched a lot of YouTube. That YouTube was a way for me to open up a world. YouTube was opening up my mind beyond borders before what I could see. I was just seeing Hackney. So I've grown up in Hackney. I was just seeing Hackney. I got a little bit lucky that I went to a private school for a bit. So I saw Kensington and Chelsea. But besides that, I was just seeing Hackney, right? YouTube really opened up my mind to see different things. And then someone who's actually my friend now, Chidi, she built a crazy villa in Bali, and she's like 1 year older than me. She built like massive multiple bedrooms in Bali, and I was like, rah, like look at this girl, Nigerian as well, obviously.
Of course.
Look at what this girl is doing. Like she's not that much older than me or whatever. So I was like, okay, let me start opening up my mind. At that time I was watching Blood and Water as well on Netflix. Have you guys watched that?
Yeah.
So I was like, this looks nice. So then I booked a holiday to South Africa, did both Johannesburg and Cape Town. And I think what really opened up my eyes for me is I used to do these like property walks. I don't know if you guys do it, where you go to like nice neighborhoods and you look at the houses and stuff. And I would always bring out like Rightmove, Zoopla, look at the prices of the houses. And it would always be, when I saw something that I really liked, it was always like 10 million, something million. And it was just like, I am working in investment banking. I'm working as hard as I can. I still have my side hustles. Everything I'm doing right now is still not going to get me to the position where I can own this house realistically. So yes, on the one side, it was inspiring me. But on the other side, it was also kind of feeling like, what more do I need to do? What more do I need to do?
Absolutely.
But when I went to South Africa, I was seeing houses that were like, oh my God, this is my dream house. But it was only 500K or it was only 300K. And then I started to realize that the life that I want is actually not as far away as I think it is. It's just that it's in the wrong borders. Like I can actually afford this. This is actually more realistic for me, just not where I am. So that was the first thing that sort of opened my mind to like, okay, I watched this girl and I've seen what she's doing in another country. I've gone to another country and I've seen somewhere that like, this is actually nice or whatever. And so I think that was the first thing that opened up my mind. But then where I actually took the jump, so the first place I actually moved to was Dubai. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Ali Abdal's podcast. And someone on the podcast was like, in Dubai, people make 2 times their salary or even more. And the reason is not even because like they're getting paid more, it's because of taxes. So I was like, I don't even believe what this one is saying. Let me go on LinkedIn myself and see. So then I was looking for like credit roles and I was like, I couldn't find any. I only saw one. but the job role had been out for like 4 or 5 months. So I was like, But I was like, okay, if I apply, maybe they'll tell me the salary so I can validate what this person is saying. So I made one application and then they gave me an interview. I was like, okay, let me do this
See that one that
interview.
you said alone? People are going to be watching this thinking, you're God's favorite boy.
No,
Because
for real, because it's hard
the job,
to get a job
what?
like that. It's
Bro,
hard.
job released 3 minutes ago. You'll see 1,000 plus applications. They've battered it on LinkedIn. They've battered it. Man has
That
developed
is
an
so
AI.
true,
Bro,
though.
it's so true. They've developed an AI bot to apply to submit their CV, bro.
It's actually serious. So yeah, and then I heard about the next day. So my thing was, okay, do one interview, then you can ask for the salary. And I did the interview, and it just so happened that I got the job. So then I was like, oh, okay. And then I got the salary, I negotiated and everything. And I was like, it was only after I received the offer, I was like, am I actually going to take this? Like, am I actually going to take this?
Can I jump in there?
Yeah,
Sometimes it's good to just do, because you just applied, you just done the interview. And the thing is, not everything is kind of like, it doesn't have to go that way. You could have done all of that and then decided that you don't actually want to go to Dubai. But unless you made the application, you never know. Does that make sense? So at the point where you was actually offered the salary, that's only the time that you have to make a decision that am I going or not, basically.
And the thing is, if I was to have made all of the pros and cons list before I got the offer, before I applied, I might even have talked myself out of applying because I was just like, let me just do it and let's see. Then I got into a situation, I was like, and it was deep because I don't really like talking about this online, but I was in a relationship. I am still in a relationship. So imagine now telling your long-term partner, oh, by the way, you know that I was just checking the thing. I'm actually kind of considering like going to Dubai. So it wasn't a deep thing, but the thing that convinced me was obviously like wealth building is important to me. And I remember I was talking to my dad and he was just like, well, even if you only go for 1 year, you will save what you would have make what you would make in 2 years in the UK, because at the tax rate that you're in right now, you might as well. So it's like, just go for a little bit. So in my mind, I was just going to go for a year and then I'll come back. And then that just opened up my mind to a whole world of new possibilities.
If you can name 3 things that made you decide that, you know what, I've changed my thinking, like things that made you say that I'm not going to come back permanently, what would 3 things be?
To not come back to the UK?
Yeah. No, well, you're in the UK now, but not permanently. Like, to when you went to Dubai, you thought you was going to go to for a year and potentially come back permanently, and your borders effectively closed. Well, you actually went to Dubai, and even though you frequent the UK, you frequent a lot of other places, so your borders open. But in the terminology that you use, what was it that made you decide that, you know what, now I've done a year in Dubai, my borders are staying permanently open?
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And then also, was the job offer and the salary, did it validate the podcast that you watched?
It did.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay, cool.
What I was taking home at my job, and I was only a senior analyst. So one of the things that I forfeited was bonus. So I left in December. I was supposed to leave in October, but I didn't want to. My birthday's in November, Christmas is in December, and I told the job, like, I don't want to spend my birthday and Christmas with, I don't know you guys, so I want to stay with my family. So I pushed it to December. January, I was going to be promoted to associate. End of January, I was going to receive my bonus, and I'd done well that year. So I forfeited a lot of things. But anyways, the point is that at the salary that I was making, to have taken that amount home in the UK, I'd have to be a VP, and I was a senior analyst in Dubai. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. Then the 3 things. One is the people and the mindset is different in somewhere like Dubai. I have met some incredible people. A lot of the people that I was saying that I was watching when I was younger, it was in Dubai that they became my friends. They were my inspos, my aspiration. I love this person in Dubai. They were reaching out to me to like become. So that is like invaluable. And I think, I don't know, just something about Dubai. I don't know what it is, but like you can make the wrong friends. Fortunately, that hasn't been my case, but the people that you can meet there, the mindsets that they have, the things that they are doing, it's like, it's just not comparable to what's going on in the UK. And I think it's also because Dubai is kind of a melting pot. So the people, the lifestyle, the ease of life,
convenience.
Man, even just the convenience.
It's crazy.
Even just something like, I was literally yesterday, I was complaining. I was like, I have to walk 20 minutes to go to the gym. There's no gym in my area that I could just walk down to in the UK. There's nowhere that I could just go. I have to walk 20 minutes. In Dubai, it'll be in my building. Or at worst, even if I wanted to go to a gym that was better than the one in my building, I will be crossing the roads. Now I'm walking 20 minutes in the rain to get to the gym. Like, why? So that ease of life, even just little things that, like having a cleaner, Like you speak to people in the UK having to clean. Like, are you lazy? What's wrong with you? Do you not have 2 hands? Why can't you clean? In Dubai, it's like, why don't you have a cleaner?
It's funny because I've got a theory that like a home is supposed to be clean daily, and unfortunately, like Iman mentioned, when you've got several children and you've got a career and a business and a wife and all of these other bits and pieces that you have to attend to, sometimes it makes sense for you to pay for that, basically.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? To get it done daily, but it's kind of like the standard in Dubai. Can I ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with the fact that you can meet someone in the UK and meet the same person in Dubai, but because they're in Dubai, you'll get a different responses, different vibe?
Ooh, what do you mean?
Okay, cool. So you said that like when you meet people in Dubai, very open to business, very like-minded, so on and so forth. Do you ever feel like people, because their environment has changed, their openness to speaking, and do you get what I'm trying to say?
I'm going to say yes because I think I'm that person.
Okay, that's interesting.
You say, if you in London, I'm stuck. Like in Dubai, ready to network.
No, I swear. I think if you meet me in the UK, you probably meet a different person than if you meet me in Dubai.
Okay, that
so
answers the
yeah,
question
I
then.
would say yeah. But I would say like the lifestyle there is just like, yes, like, yeah, this is what I'm working hard for. And then I think you don't really, this is like a menial point, but it's actually like, it really affects you. Like, you don't realize how much little things like sunshine, weather, all of these things, how much it really affects how you feel about your day, how you feel about your life, how you feel about so many different things. And so I think that's another reason why I'm just like, yeah.
Honestly, the sun thing is crazy. Like the last 2 days here they've been sunny.
Yeah, we actually got sun. We
It's
actually
been sunny,
did
and
get sun.
it's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Even in the UK, people act different when the sun's out.
Yeah.
It's different.
Do you know, like, the sunshine, I actually want to drive my car. Do you know I have you know, when it's not, I don't even want to drive my car. I don't even want to drive and stuff. But I agree, we're more friendly. Yeah. But one thing that you said, I think that's vital, that I want people to understand, is that you said you had a friend who did something amazing, and because your friend did something amazing, you now felt like you could do something amazing. And the power of your environment, and I think that's another reason why Nigerians do so well, is because we always know, like, you can't really stunt a Nigerian because there's another Nigerian doing a madness. Like, it's just in us, and I think that is vital. Like, your the people around you, like, you saw this place in Bali, like, right, okay, well, if she can do this, and she's only 1 year older than me,
she got 2 heads.
I can do this. And we've been hearing that from small.
Yeah,
like, your cousin is doing this, or this is doing that, or what about this? You've been getting it from small, so you always have an open mind to the fact that if someone else can do it, you can do it.
100%.
Like, how do you keep? Obviously, I see some of your guests on your podcast are absolutely fantastic, so that must help going forward. But for someone that's trying to change their environment, maybe they haven't got that type of people around them, what would you suggest for them to kind of look at doing?
I got a quick tip for them. Message Lamide when she's in Dubai.
What?
Watch her stories. Wait for her to touch down in DXB and then message her. Don't message her while she's in the UK.
I used to be in that space where I always used to feel like, I want to make friends that are like, you know, where I want to go, whatever. Yeah. But I think that change happens when you change, right? Like, when you start to switch from going to clubs all the time and you start going to property networking events, the people that you're going to meet at property networking events is very different than the people that you're going to meet when you're just going for whatever stuff that you're doing. So I think the first thing is that make sure that you are changed. You are that person, because when you are that person, it's so much more easier to attract the people, because those people also want to be friends with people who you know what I mean? Like, when you become the person, people also want to be friends with you. So the first thing before you start saying, oh, my friends are like this, my friends are like that, because I hate when people are always like talking down their friends, because I still have my friends from growing up in Hackney or whatever, and I love my friends. I still go out with my friends till today. But yes, sometimes you do want to create, you know, a different sort of a bubble, different sort of environment, friendship group, but you have to become the person first, because you also have to be able to sustain being in friendship with people who are at a higher level, because some people cannot be in a friendship group with people who are doing better than them, but then you'll start being envious, then you'll start saying slick things to make that person, you know, feel down. So you need to make sure that your level of development can even maintain the friendship level that you even want in the first place, and then you will start going to different places and you will start attracting those people. If I'm being completely honest, the change happened when I changed. I just went to different places. People were coming to me. I was putting out content, so that also helped as well for people to gravitate towards me. And that's really how it worked.
Yeah. So you just described key person of influence.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you haven't read the book Key Person of Influence, that is exactly what it's about. It's about you changing yourself and you becoming a person of influence. And because you become a person of influence, that then attracts people to you. The people you want to work with now want to work with you because you become a key person of influence. So anyone out there, read that book.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask a question based on that as well. But I want to just double down on what you said, innit? So you mentioned that, like, and it's absolutely true. Sometimes people want to be the best in their group. But when you're the best in your group, you won't grow. I always mention that, like, when I was, it's funny enough, it goes back to, like, as I mentioned, I know Eman since, like, birth, basically. And me and my group of friends, a lot of us got into finance because Eman was a financial advisor. So literally what I said before. So we were always very, very transparent with our salaries. I'm talking early 20s. And for a lot of the time, I was earning the lowest. I wasn't earning low, but I was earning the lowest of the group. They were doing really well. The lowest or the second lowest of the group. And I always say, like, going back, I'd have it no other way. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because that way, I always... So this is what I grew up with. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So if these men are doing it now, of course I can do it. Like, we've literally grown up the same. Like, so it's kind of like... it always made me aware that I could do more career-wise and I wouldn't have it any other way. But on the flip side, we do have scenarios whereby sometimes people can be in that scenario and it's almost like you're envious or you're waiting for your friends to fail. Like, no, some people do that, bro. It's like you're waiting for them to. Oh yeah, but you see what they did. You know what? You know the. Oh yeah, but she something back in the day. Did you get what I'm trying to say? No, you know what I'm talking about.
Nah, yeah, they'll find one other random thing to say to bring you down.
Yeah, she's got a Lamborghini, but the back seat's torn. Do you get what I'm trying to say? People are like that. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to people? No.
I said the backseat is tough. That is crazy.
What advice would you give to people that is going to make them comfortable? Because I think it's super important to be around people that are doing much better than you. Super, super important. So what advice would you give to people that want to get into these environments and be around people that's going to broaden their horizons and really show them what's possible, but to be comfortable in themselves, not be a hater, not be jealous?
I think that when you start moving towards that position of being a hater and being jealous, that's because you don't know the value that you bring and you feel insecure. Because some of the things that my friends are doing, the things that they make, it's like, wow. But when we're in conversation, I know that I can still have, when it comes to certain conversation, they still value what I have to say because there's something that I bring to the table that they don't necessarily have. Just because someone makes more money than you doesn't necessarily even mean that they are better than you or they know more about friendships than you. There are certain things that you can still bring to the table. And that was one of the things that really affected me, because when I then got to Dubai and I was like now having, dinners with different people, I did go in with like, oof, am I going to be able to match up to this level of conversation? But then they will come back to me a couple of days like, oh, there was something that you said that I really reflected on, or there was something that you mentioned that I'm now doing this because of what you said. There's certain things that you can bring that, because everybody can't know everything, everybody can't do everything, everybody can't be whatever. Like, there's certain things that you can still bring. So it depends on you and you knowing yourself and you bringing yourself to know that I still have value.
Yes.
Like, there is something that I still have that person might need. Even if it's the case of like, you have this person who is super into business, super into money, they know how to make money, but you're more religious than they are, or you're more God-fearing than they are. And maybe there's something that they need to hear from you that God is going to use you to speak to them, and they're going to hold and treasure that thing. But you have to be secure in yourself first of all. There's nothing that I can really tell you like, oh, like do this, do that. Be secure in yourself, and you go into those rooms and you know that you still have value to bring, because I've still worked on myself. Don't try and like, just don't try and compete where you don't compare. When they're talking about, my friends will talk about, oh yeah, we lost 150k on this stupid app developer. I can't, I'll just leave that conversation. You lost 150k on one little thing and you're saying it like a throwaway thing. Like, oh, okay, nice. I'm not gonna come in and be like, yeah. But where I can add value, I will add value. But yeah, I would say it's just more of like how you see yourself. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who I'm in the room with, even if it was Bill Gates that was there. I know there's things that you know that I don't know, but the things that I am confident with, those are the things that I will share, and I still have value regardless of if you make more money than me or whatever. Like, it's paper at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Key things you mentioned, I'm gonna agree with you massively. Like, I often say to people, like, don't tie your value to money. The second thing is that you've got lived experiences that other people don't have as well. You're unique. No one can be you better than you.
Exactly.
And even if you're being you and you're not adding value immediately today, you being you, if at some point they start valuing something that you have to offer, at least you know you can maintain it because you're not trying or pretending. And that's where it goes into the message that you said about don't try and compete where you don't compare. Because I promise you, the first time you start pretending, it's hard. From it off, say that. I say that I can't practice, just train. Just say that, Joe, I can't relate. If they ask you directly, I can't really relate to that, but you know what I'm trying to say? And it'll be easier from there. I promise you, the one time you pretend, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. And then you'll probably have to end up admitting, do you know what, I was gassing. I was gassing 6 months ago when I said that I can relate.
No, but I think the whole thing is that when you start to do that stuff, it's hard to remember what you say. So I always say be you, because if you're you never have to remember. What did I say that last time? What was the lie? Bro, it's too much work.
Hard work, bro.
Just be you.
It's another job. Wake up and just be you every time.
You have to take notes. On the 12th, I said
And don't get me wrong, we're making it sound easy, and it is kind of easy, but it does take some being intentional, I'd say, as well. So like sometimes I got to a point, not with like peers and stuff like that, but when I was getting hired to do certain things, it's like, what is it that they want? Am I gonna blah 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 blah? But then I started getting to a point that they looked at something that I did and said that I want to hire him. So I'm not overthinking it. I'm going to be hiring me. You saw me. I'm not going to go do me again. And then after that, I was just able to rinse and repeat, like speaking engagement. Yo, pull up. No, I'll pull up because you've seen what I've done. And that's the thing about building a personal brand as well. I'm just able to go there and be me. And I thank God for that.
And I think it's so important to just like be yourself. And because I remember, for example, with Tyro, when Tyro was coming in, he's like, I need an agent. Bare people were like, man, don't give Tyro your agent. I said, are you well?
It's crazy. I never knew that.
Wait, why?
No, because they're like, you need to have your agent. Tyro should go and get his own agent. Recommend him to other places, because what if you get your agent and then your agent starts to get... I'm like, if my agent gives him food, then I'm happy. He's eating. Like, do you understand? And so then I was like, but you know, like I had to just be me, because it wouldn't have been myself. I wouldn't be able to call Tyro back and say, you know what? Go and call these guys or these... No, speak to my agent, because guess what? When I needed an agent, somebody gave me their agent. Yeah. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So,
facts.
and it's like, it's so important. And like, even like when we do deals, I always tell him like, this is what I got paid. This is what I'm doing. And people are like, you share some. I'm like, at the end of the day, it's so much easier running this race when you have somebody in the race with you.
Yeah.
Do you understand? As opposed to doing it on your own. And what am I? And I think it's, again, because we come from these places where we feel there's only one, or there's only one deal. There's so many brands and there's so many companies to work with that it doesn't matter how many's out there, there's always another one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so it's so important to like just be true to yourself. And if you feel like it's right, do what's right for you and that you can live with. And I feel like sometimes that the mentality of there's not enough, there's more than enough.
Do you know what you said just reminded me of something? And I'm not going to be able to say it correctly, but it was a quote that was going around on social media lately. And I think someone was basically saying that someone was saying to them, like, you share too much. Yeah. And they were like, like, I don't mind sharing because I know 99% of people won't even do the work anyways. I think it was like about talking about like how to make money in their business. Yeah. And they were like, majority of people are not going to be able to do what I've done. Like they won't even put in the work to do it. So I'll share, because what's the worst that's going to happen? If I have a scarcity mindset, let me keep everything to myself, even if I share it, how many people are actually gonna get the work done? So yeah, I think I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like, and I think it just comes down to having a scarcity mindset. Like,
when you think about that, like Shoe Dog, like even if I read how the guy went through the journey of building Nike. Bro, I'm not going to be able to make another Nike. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Even though I try to go step by step, like some things are for its time and for its season. It's for me to learn the lessons and then apply it to what this time needs me to create. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to going backwards. And
I think sometimes it's why you got to look at why you're doing stuff as well. Like, why do you share? Like, sometimes, I'm not saying that everybody needs to be super vulnerable, but why do you share your story? Do you share your story to actually impact people and better them? Yeah. Then drop the game fully, innit? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, obviously some things are personal, but that's why when I talk about my stuff, I'll give numbers. That I often tell people how much I bought my first home for, just because I know that me adding that context adds so much more value to the discussion, if that makes sense. Not to say that everybody should start talking about their finances finances outwardly and plainly,
Yeah.
but you got to understand why you're doing it as well. And I guess for me, it comes down to faith as well. Like, I'm a very big believer in what's for me won't pass me. I believe that I've been blessed abundantly, and I almost feel like I need to bless others in order to continue getting my blessings, basically. So, just
Do
pouring
you know
out.
one thing I don't agree with?
What?
What's for me won't pass me.
I think
But
I
get what you're saying.
I think I know why you're gonna say you don't believe it. But I'm gonna if I say that faith without works is okay, cool. So I knew I was saying it. She was basically saying that you just sit and so it's like, now what's for you won't pass you. But I mean that in a sense that you still have to put in the work as well. 100%. 100%. Hey, look at that, telepathic. You know, I knew what you were talking about. I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to ask you loads of questions. You bet big on a few things.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Leaving the UK. We haven't asked about why you left the job in Dubai. So answer this question, right? You left the job in Dubai. Why did you leave your job in Dubai? And then also, you bet big on a few things and it paid off. Was there ever a time that you made like a jump or a big change and it didn't work out as well as you thought it'd be? As you thought it would do?
You know what? I don't see myself as a big risk taker, funnily enough.
The risk is relative, right? Because what you did is big risk to other people.
I really don't see myself as a big risk taker, funnily enough, at that, because I have friends who take crazy risk, and I'm always the person is if I'm going to take this risk, I've already mapped out the worst case scenario is this, and if the worst case scenario is this, I still have funds from here to cover this. Like, I really map things out, so I take calculated risk, and so because of that, my risks don't feel to me as big, but also
it's funny.
If I'm gonna take a risk, I'm gonna make it pay off. So I can't actually tell you, oh, I took this risk and it didn't work out, because I'm gonna make sure that this thing works out. And even if physically maybe it didn't work out, mentally what I would have learned from it or gained from it, for me it would have worked out to the point where like I don't even know what the opposite might have been. To me it's worked out. But why I left my job in Dubai, so it's a couple of reasons. One, when you're in Dubai, and as I was saying, you're surrounded by these new groups of people and people doing crazy and amazing things, it's really hard to stay in a restrictive corporate job. Very, very hard, because I don't even think I really got to start enjoying Dubai and really understanding Dubai until I left, because the majority of my day was at work, and then at weekends I'm recovering. I can still go to the beach and do lots of fun things, but I just felt like there was a side to Dubai that I wasn't tapping into, because the best people in Dubai are not necessarily the ones. When I say the best people, I'm not saying that some people are like inherently better than others, but for where I wanted to go, the networks that I wanted to make, they weren't at the corporate jobs. The people who I'm connecting with now, they don't have the traditional corporate jobs, and those are the people who I wanted to be surrounded with, but I felt like the job was kind of preventing me from accessing those people. Two, I have a vision for, what I want my finances to look like, the sort of the milestones I want to hit, and staying in my job, I just was not going to be able to hit those milestones. If I can project out even all the promotions that I wanted to have, I just still was never going to hit that level. So I was like, okay, I have to do something different, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and thinking you're going to, hit that milestone. So there was that. And then I just felt like, well, if I'm going to quit my job, there is no better time than now to kind of do it. Like in a couple of years, I'm hoping to be a wife, to be a mother. So I'd rather do it now where I have the least amount of liabilities. And so take these risks now. And then the environment of the job in Dubai also pushed me out, because corporate in Dubai is a different game to corporate in the UK. So yeah, you're spitting gems. It's funny, I was laughing when you were speaking about the risk thing, because the fact that you're filming a podcast between 9 to 5 on a weekday is for some people a massive risk in itself. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I think that what you're saying is making perfect sense. I think that it is still a risk leaving the job, but it sounds like it paid off. And I understand what you mean about how in Dubai, like, a lot of things is happening during the day on a weekday. It's like Dubai's kind of like built for entrepreneurs. So you'll find that a lot of the things that you might have actually moved there for is actually happening while you're in the office, basically. So it can be a little bit tricky. I was going to ask, how many countries have you been to in the last 12 months? In the last 12 months, how many countries have I been to? Oh my God. Okay, so this year...
Been to, and you're building Without Borders, isn't it? So, no, just do been to, actually. Just do been to.
I don't know, maybe not that much. Maybe like 7. in the last 3 months, I've been to, since the year started, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to South Africa, I've been to Dubai and the UK. I also went to, and I do those a lot. I went to Doha last year. Where else did I go? Maybe like 7.
And where do you have bases at the moment? Where would you say that you have bases?
Bases, UK, Johannesburg, and kind of Dubai, but in a different way, but kind of Dubai as well.
Explain how that works, because some people are listening to this and thinking, right, you don't have a typical corporate job. You have bases in 3 different countries. What does that look like? Do you own somewhere in all of these places? Is it Airbnbs? It's like, what currency do you even earn in? And like, I'm trying to say. So what does it look like? How is it tangible?
So currency-wise, I think I earn in 3 currencies.
Chai,
Yeah.
voila.
Yeah. So AED, GBP, and Rand. Yeah. What does it look like? So I have my apartment in Johannesburg. So that's on Airbnb. So when I go there, I can stay there.
Nice.
Then in Dubai, my base is not that I have somewhere that I stay, but more so that I have a business that I run there, and that kind of provides me a base there. And I've got everything that I would need to survive in Dubai. I have. And then in the UK, I don't live in any of the properties that I own. I go back home. Actually, I stay in my mum's bed when I go back home in the UK. I literally share a bed with my mum in the UK. So yeah, my ideal split would have been like summer months in the UK, because I think that when the sun comes out, the UK is a different place. Everybody's outside.
Everyone's smiling.
It can be 18 degrees, which is not even that hot if you compare it to like Dubai, but everybody's outside. It's a different vibe. It's a good vibe. And then I would spend the like maybe like September to December in Dubai. So that's like a really good time to be in Dubai. And then summer for SA is like flipped. So their hot months are kind of like now. So then I'll spend like the earlier parts of the year in South Africa. But it doesn't always work out like that. I basically just go wherever work needs me to go. And so right now I'm here.
Do you feel a pressure as a successful woman, especially a successful black woman, making the moves that you make? Like, I'm sure you must get DMs, you must get messages. Do you feel a pressure that there's all these young people or women or whatever, or people looking up to me, and I have to be a certain way, or I have to represent, or I must do content, or I must always make sure I'm giving this audience back because they're looking up to me?
I don't actually. I really, really don't. I actually try not to think about it. And even when I create content, I try not to create content of like, this is what you should do. I like to create content of, this is what I have done based on my situation. And maybe if you're in a similar situation to me, you can take elements from it. But I'm very big on like, you need to know what your goals are, and then you create your life based around that. Don't try to copy me, because everything I've done is very, very specific to the things that I want out of life. So I actually don't feel a pressure. No, I don't. And maybe it's because I just don't like to think about it. Because I think if I thought about it, then I might start doing, I don't know, I might start not act like myself. So just not thinking about it allows me to just be myself.
I love that.
I want to play a quick game, if that's all right.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm scared.
Cool. So I'm going to give you 5 cities. Yeah?
Okay.
Some that you've been to recently. Abuja, Lagos, Dubai, Joburg, London.
Okay.
Cities you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Can you repeat them back to me?
Abuja, Lagos, London, Dubai. What was the other one? Johannesburg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joburg. Cool. So I'm just going to ask you questions, and then you're going to tell me which
Okay.
city. So which city surprised you the most?
Abuja.
Why?
Complete contrast to Lagos, and
Okay.
very wealthy, very clean, very well planned.
Amazing. Which city has the best food?
Ooh, definitely not Dubai. I'm gonna say either Johannesburg or Lagos.
Okay. Which city is the best for luxury living?
Dubai.
Which city has the best social scene?
Dubai.
Where is it easiest to make money?
I'm not gonna say South Africa, any South African city. Easiest to make money? Ooh.
Tricky one, innit?
Depends what you're doing to make the money. Oh my God.
For you, the way you make money.
The way you make money.
The way I make money, London.
Where's the easiest to lose it? To lose
Dubai.
money.
Dubai.
So, which city feels the safest?
Dubai.
Which feels the least safe?
Lagos.
Okay, cool. That's it.
That's fun.
Some insights. You enjoyed that?
Yeah.
Well, Tyler loves to do the end because he's Mr. Finish off. Go on, do your thing.
He
rehearses it. No, he
me to do
rehearses
it.
this.
He actually prefers me to do it.
He
He might don't want
rehearses.
the intro, he don't want the outro. Look, he wants me to do it. I hear it. I mean, I'm his YG, innit? As much as I'm a dad, I'm still his YG. Do you know what I'm saying? So, when we end the episode, we always like to ask people what's the W and the L of their journey. It's the bread and butter podcast. You could say what's the cream and the crust. So let us know what's the W of your journey and the L of your journey. So people can then get an insight. They see you jet setting everywhere, but we want to know a bit more about the journey. So what would you say if you could signpost it?
The W of the journey. I think did I prepare for this? Let me see if I wrote anything down.
It doesn't have to be the top one.
Oh, okay. So the W of my journey in general is being liability light. So I'm very light on liabilities, and
Ooh,
that
I like
has-
that.
That took you guys a while.
No, because we should liability light. I think it's
Okay, what? But did I get
that?
it? Bro, I'm
Then I
liability
clocked
heavy,
it.
bruv. Everything's relative though, but yeah,
so
no,
I
absolutely.
think that has
Allows
it's
to-
allowed me to have a lot of freedom.
People need to hear that to understand
So
that they are
understand.
also liability light. Does that make sense? Because you think you're taking a risk today, but what happens when you've got a big mortgage, 5 kids, and
Car loan.
you get what I'm trying to say? So, I mean, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and then I think that I think there are moments where I could have trusted God better.
Okay.
And I think especially when you move into self-employment, you really have to. It's
yeah.
another level of trust that you need to have, and you
You have
really need
to-
to work on that relationship with God because, yeah, and I think I could do better with that. So yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so
it.
much,
No,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I've enjoyed this
Come on.
That was
podcast
really
massively.
fun. Thank you guys for
Lamide,
having
tell
me.
them where they can find you.
Yeah, so you guys can find me at Lamide Elizabeth on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok as well. And then if you want to check out my podcast, it's Building Wealth with No Borders on all of the usual podcast streaming platforms.
Hi,
Come
all of
on.
the usual streaming platforms. Bro, you need to learn. You need to rehearse that one so you
Nah,
can
but
say it
I don't-
smoothly.
I don't even like. It's not even me. I'll be spitting all over the place.
All right, guys, we've been Tayo and Iman. Thank you for listening to the Bread and Butter podcast.
Yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Lamide's been dropping gems, so let us know what she said that you feel like you relate to. And we'll see you in the next one, guys.
Love.
Bye.
Peace.